All right, people, what the hell's going on here? How y'all doing? I gotta fix my window. It's moving all around. Hope you guys are having a great fucking. Don't worry, James. I'm gonna fix it, bro. Let me get a hold of it real quick. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Hope you guys are kicking ass. Let me pull James over. There we go. I don't know why it got all big. I guess. I had a reset. I don't know why the OBS reset on me this morning. I turned it on to get it working, and it was like, well, I don't remember who you are, Ray, and I was like, damn it, what the hell's going on here? But let me refix that. All right, we're good to go. I pulled James over just a little bit.
There we
more.
go.
There we
Handsome
go.
face.
There we go. James, how you doing? Happy Saturday, buddy. It's Saturday night where you're at. How you doing? What are you up to over there? How's the weather? It's cold here now. I got my toboggan on. Is it cold there too? What's going on?
Nah, the weather's first class, but Palace lost 3-1 to Liverpool, so
damn, you hate to see that.
Man.
You hate
it's one of those, man.
Yeah,
it's like, this is going to be the terrible thing. I think we're going to Premier League, we're safe, but we're just languishing at the bottom of the table. We were all set to have a really good season, and then we had a run of 10, 15 games where we lost about 11 of them, and that pretty much killed our season. But we're in the semi-finals of the Conference League.
Yeah.
We could win that, and that will be our first European trophy. Ooh. So there might be light at the end of the tunnel in this season.
Let's go. You don't think that football and soccer is rigged by any chance, do you? Or do you think it's rigged? What are your thoughts?
No, it's funny, isn't it? With the online genre, they think everything's fucking rigged. Everything's changed. Everything. Who the fuck knows, right? I don't know. But the problem is betting. Betting has become so prevalent in all kinds of sports. And when you have betting, you have the rigged game, don't you?
Yes.
So you just don't know. I mean, it was funny. The funny thing about football, right, is that you're hosting the World Cup, aren't you? And everyone in Europe isn't happy about you hosting the World Cup because Trump's bad. Trump's bad on the right now. Trump's bad on the left. Trump's bad on the centre. Everyone hates Trump now. Yeah. It's universal. You know what I mean? Even his old friends hate him now. And he was saying, we've got to get Italy in the World Cup. We're going to kick out Iran and get Italy. It's dude, well, it don't work like that. He says some daft things, doesn't he? That's why I think everyone thinks he's got onset dementia or something, because he just comes out and says the first thing that comes into his head, and he's like, yeah, Italy failed to qualify for the third World Cup in a row. They haven't qualified for a World Cup in 12 years. But, I don't like Iran, so I'm going to kick out Iran. I might kick out the Mexicans. I might kick out everyone. You know what I mean? Right. And he's going today, and he said, the funny thing about Trump that got me, right, we're supposed to be friends, aren't we? Pals across the drink. And he's like, yeah, we're going to give the Falklands back to Argentina. And I'm like, are we? That's news to me, mate.
Yeah.
What about all those British people that live on the Falklands? What are you going to do with them? Where are they going to live? Oh, I don't know. They'll go into a work camp or a workhouse,
They'll learn how to speak Spanish. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Trump.
I know, because he hates us now. He hates us and he hates Starmer. So he's like, yeah, we're going to take the Falklands.
Yeah.
Now he's going to take everything, but he ends up taking nothing because he's all bluster.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty crazy because everybody thinks he's saying one thing and he does another, but I've noticed that he keeps making money. I saw the other day, everybody's talking about those accounts that are making all kinds of money when the oil goes up, oil goes down, and all that kind of stuff. And there's one or two traders out there who are making millions and millions of dollars. And somebody asked Trump about insider trading yesterday, the day before. And he said, hey, you know what? The world's a casino. So it's all rigged, and I think that's part of
Well, I
his
told you,
plan.
didn't I? He's not a president. He's not a president. He's not presidential in any sense of the word. What you've got with Donald Trump, you've got half a gangster, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got a rogue businessman who's half a gangster. He knows gangsters. He's been acting like that his whole life. He puts it on people. He bullies people. He pressures people. And if I had a Jewish financial advisor like Jared Kushner, I'd be a billionaire too. You know what I mean? That's what I need.
Bro,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
let me go into that in a little bit. But let me say hey to the chat, everybody. We got a lot of awesome, groovy people here. Like Earthworm Jim used to say, groovy, groovy, groovy people. Who we got?
That game was so fucking hard. I used to play that on the Mega Drive. I could not complete that for love nor money.
Earthworm Jim, bro. I loved it. I loved it. Mr. Jeeky, let's fucking go. He says, Seashell SoCal, Pat in here, Monk Fruit out there in Indiana, making it happen. Good to see you, buddy. Who else we got? He says, I wonder if Ray Ray is happy. You probably heard my theme song earlier, done by the fantastic, indomitable Ryan Harkness. Shout out to Ryan Harkness. Hope he's doing great. I haven't seen him on the show in a little bit, in a half a minute, bro. So I hope you're doing great out there. Who else we got? We got Carrie C. Boys. Shout out to Carrie. Rath Rash. Good to see you. He said, we got King Yeti. Shout out. He says, howdy, heathens. Let's fucking go. Sometimes it takes me a minute to read these names, people, because they're all jumbled together. And I'm like, what the fuck? If I don't recognize the name, I'm like, who the fuck is this motherfucker? Hillbilly Harry, shout out to you, bro. Hope you're doing a fantastic. Hope you're having a good time down there. And I hope that Jared is also having a great day today, too, as he competes to get one step closer to the Olympics in 2028, LA Olympics. Let's fucking go. In judo. We also got Mr. Jiki says, maybe the OBS was on the veto setting, had to be wider to fit him all on one camera. Yeah, I think that's what it was the veto setting.
Yeah, I'm expanding. This is what happens when you LARPers veto. He's like slim now, and I'm expanding. It's fucking crazy, man. He's done a number on me, I tell you. I'm never streaming with that guy again.
Yeah, facts. We got Rathrash. He says 100% rigged, talking about sports. Hillbilly Harry says, when there's that much money on the line, someone is going to find a way to rig the games. Couldn't agree more. Who else we got down here? We've got Reverend Doll 148. World Cup is going to be a joke, not because of Trump, but because of FIFA. Yeah, FIFA's crazy, bro.
I hear ticket prices are crazy. People who would be like the core base fans and supporters that will come from England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and Northern Ireland are not going. One, because it's really hard to get in your country now for people like us, with the ice shit and the fucking checks. It's so hard for anyone who's got like a smidgen of a criminal record. It's really hard to get in your country now. And fucking, it's like the tickets are like fucking $10,000 a game.
Yeah.
It's fucking mental.
It's crazy. Yeah, we got King Yeti says Battletoads was insanely hard. Bro, that's another fantastic classic. I love that game, but it was insanely hard. Especially the little racer area, where you had to jump, not the first ones, but the last one is super hard. I remember that still in my mind to this day. King Yeti says the guy who created Earthworm Jim is extremely MAGA to the point of being a Trump dick suck. Yeah, man, he is, bro. He came around the whole Comicsgate scene and did his whole thing because he got blocked from his own Earthworm Jim IP. He was crying about it. Finally, he made some money, was able to recover his IP, and then he went off on his way. So he's a very interesting character.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that hates Ethan, isn't it?
Yeah, he does.
It's not Doug Tenaple. Is it Doug Tenaple?
I think it is. I think it's Doug Tenaple. Isn't that the Earth?
Because I get confused with the geezer that was a politician in like Hawaii or something, didn't he? And his place burned down or something. Is that another guy? Edwin Boyette. Yeah. I always get Doug Tenaple and Edwin Boyette confused.
I think it's Tenaple. Yeah. But yeah, I loved Earthworm Jim. I loved everything about it. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the mechanics.
The gun was so cool. The gun
was great. The cartoons were great. I loved how hard it was. It was hard as shit, bro. But yeah, we're gonna have to have a video game episode too. We're gonna have to talk about all the video games. We talked briefly about cartoons and stuff yesterday on Lunch Table. That was a lot of fun. That was fun to get into.
Yeah, we never got into the ones that there was like Rick and Morty on there. We never got into Simpsons, did we? Futurama.
Yeah, we had a lot
Rick
more
and Morty, American Dad, Family Guy.
Yeah,
those are the ones that I've been watching recently. And the thing I was going to talk about is how I thought Rick and Morty was peak.
It
Right?
was.
And then what was it? Justin Roiland, he
Yeah.
got done, didn't he, for something? And then the other guy, I can't remember his name, he got done as well. And they basically put all the women behind all the writing and the creating of the car, and it fell off a
It
cliff,
fell off a
didn't it?
cliff, bro.
Fucking the voices changed as well. I think
Yeah.
Morty's voice changed, and I was like, oh,
The
fuck,
the first two seasons were excellent, but then you start doing a little digging, and of course it gets a little fuzzy because there's some Justin Roiland he made some weird animations. Like the whole Rick and Morty thing is based upon a concept about Back to the Future, where Morty is like Michael J. Fox, and Rick is like Doc Brown or something, and he called him Doc, and there was some like sexual innuendos in there that was like a little bit vulgar. And so a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's wild." But then he got the show; it became successful. They kind of swept that under the rug. Then they brought it back out around season 4 to get rid of him, and they got rid of his ass in a hurry, bro. So
Yeah, what is it? Dan Harmon was the other guy. I don't know what they got rid of him for, but he got busted as well, didn't he? He got popped for something.
yeah, I think Dan Harmon, he got like a divorce around season 4, and he was like super depressed or something. If you notice the production screen on the very last screen of the television of the cartoon show, it changes based upon how Dan Harmon is doing. And the first season it was all great. Then by the 4th or 5th season, he was like a drunk on the couch. And so, there was a lot of that, cynical, dark humor throughout Rick and Morty. But Rick and Morty had some fantastic concepts. I loved all of it. It was great. It was very satirical. Some of the later seasons they had some weird episodes in there, bro. So I was just
When they started having the two mums or the two wives, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, because he had the space one, didn't he? And then he had the stay-at-home one. I was like, this sounds like a woman. You know what I mean? A woman's input. You know what I mean? It's like pushing some kind of feminine agenda. It's like, how can you have the work life and can you have the home life? You know what I mean? It seemed to me they were drumming that into your head, and you can't have both. So you got to choose or split off or something. And I was like, yeah, fuck off. I don't want. I know politics is all over comics. Politics is all over everything. But I don't need it fucking hit me over the head with a sledgehammer or rammed down my throat. You know what I mean?
Leave me alone with
just tell me a funny story, a reverent funny story.
Yeah, facts. And then also they had that one with the King Neptune or something like that, where the King Neptune was like gay and he was always trying to hit on Rick, and I was just like, oh, bro.
Oh yeah, he did the thrusting, didn't he? He was like this. He was always doing that thrusting, wasn't he? And he was Rick.
Yeah, I was like, it's too much, man. It's too much. I don't want all that in my face, bro. So yeah, we'll have to touch back down on the whole cartoon and talk about all that kind of stuff. The Simpsons and Futurama is another good one. American Dad, Family Guy.
They go on forever, don't they? I think I said to you when we first started this, I'm a firm believer that there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. I'm not particularly a fan of remakes or rehashes or things that go on too long. I think it's like, when they've take the Game of Thrones franchise, right? They've taken a franchise that hasn't even been completed in book form, and they continually release these series that's not faithful to said books in any way, shape, or form. They basically do their own thing, and it's just going to go on for years, and they're going to milk it until it's dry. You know what I mean? And it's like, I thought Game of Thrones was shit.
Yeah,
I never liked it. I tried to get into it. I think I lasted to about 4 series, and then I tapped out. And then what was it? The Dragons one I didn't like, but I did like the new one, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I did like that one. It was like a mini series, like the Dunk and Egg thing. That was all right. That was kind of like faithful to the books, good entertainment.
Yeah,
short and sweet. The episodes were only half an hour. It wasn't like a lot of my life was fucking watching this series. I just got in and out.
Yeah, well, then that's another thing about video games too. To talk about a different type of media is that there's a couple of video games that have come out. Like Wind Rose is this video game where you're back in like the 1600s and you can get a ship and become a pirate, but then you can go on islands, you can have big fights and all that stuff. And as a kid, I would have loved that. But I just don't have the time to get into that kind of stuff anymore. They want you to spend like 20 hours a week on it, and I'm like, bro, I don't have that kind of time to put on a video game or anything else like that. I'm out here doing my thing, bro. I got to hustle. So I'm kind of, I'm kind of bummed about that. But it's like you're saying, I don't have time to watch a big long series all the time.
This is why I'm so turned off by Grand Theft Auto 6. One, I'm turned off because I don't want to do a Bonnie and Clyde thing. I don't want to do that. And I know it's going to be a Bonnie and Clyde plot. You know what I mean? With like star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet bullshit. I'm not into that. And I'm also not into playing the game. Like, the world's going to be so huge, and there's
Yeah.
going to be so many things to do within the game. And then it's going to go GTA Online again. And it's like, oh, fucking hell. I just want to play a linear game. That's what I liked about the latest Mafia game. It was a linear, you could do it in 6 hours. You were in and out. You know, it didn't take up a huge amount of my life, and I could just get in, get out, and forget about it. And that's what I like. I mean, we got less time now. We live in a TikTok age, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
where people can barely watch a 30-second video before they're bored.
Yeah, facts. We got. I'm gonna touch on that for real quick, but I wanted to say, Hillbilly Harry. He says, senior judo nationals next month and on the 9th, going for #1 in the country for Jared. Let's fucking go support him. I'll repost it if we can watch it next month on the 9th for sure. So keep us posted on that one, Harry. We also got Hillbilly. Who else? Draw Zombie. He says, shout out Hobo Chili recipe. Shout out to you. Yeah, you know, it's very difficult to get into all this, you know, when there's a concept called choice paralysis, James. And I'll tell you what it's all about. It's about like when you go to the fast food restaurant, they got a burger and fries. You can get chicken nuggets, and you can get maybe like a fillet of fish. And then you got 3 options. That's it, right? So you can pick easily. Now, when you go to some other restaurant and they have like thousands of like dishes, sometimes it's so overwhelming that you just feel, you know what, I'm going to go back to the burger joint where I know at least I'm going to get a good decision. I'm going to feel good about my decision, and I'm going to be able to select something that's optimized for me. And so that's kind of the same concept here with the video game. There's so much going on in the video game nowadays. Like, I don't even know, you know, it's kind of like, why do I even want to do this? I can't like, you know, talk to other people about it. You know, back when we were kids, you know, you had like a, you know, Super Nintendo, you know, you had PlayStation, you had these things that everybody was playing and everybody was talking to, so you felt really ingrained in the culture. Whereas nowadays, the video games are so big, so vast, so splintered that you could talk about one video game that nobody's ever played, and they're like, you know what I'm saying? The culture's just not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when I go out, I try to simplify my life as best as possible. Like, if I go for a coffee, I'm not like going in there going, oh, what am I going to have today? What am I going to have today? It's like, I'll have a I'll have a double espresso. I'll have an americano. That's it. You know what I mean? 2 choices. Bish bash bosh. Go. I'll go to a chip shop. I'll have fish and chips, or I'll have chicken and chips. You know what I mean? Or if I fancy a fish cake, you know what I mean? I try to, because we haven't got a lot of time. You know, 24 hours used to seem like a really long time. Well, we've got 24 hours in a day. But now it doesn't seem enough. You know, you're doing 8 hours of work, and then because like you're going further and farther afield now, you're probably doing, maybe you could be doing a couple of hours traveling to and from work, an hour there and back. Then you come back, you got to prepare a meal, you got to cook a meal, you got to do the washing up, you got to fucking get your gear out for the next day. Maybe you got to do a bit of ironing, whatever. You got to fucking you got to get some sleep, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours sleep, and then you're back at it the next fucking day. And that's what it's like Monday to Friday, or fucking Monday to Saturday with Sunday off, or whatever. And it's like, I need to make my life simpler, not more complicated. I need less choice, not more choice. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's fucking
Well, you know,
crazy.
and I often think about this, and I wonder if, like, when you're a younger person, a child, you know, your brain isn't as full, and as you get older, your brain fills up with more and more memories, more data, more information, and I wonder if that affects your perception on time. Because James, when I was a kid, I remember I'd be waiting for Christmas or waiting for my birthday. It seemed like
Yeah.
summer would last forever. But now I turn around and it was just Christmas. Now it's almost we're almost in summer right now. I'm gonna turn around again. It's gonna be Halloween. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's an age thing with me. Like I said, I never hide my age. I'm 45 years old. When I was 21, I thought the world was my oyster. I thought I had all the time in the world. I was constantly looking forward. Now I've got to an age, I was talking about this to someone the other day. I'm 45 years old. I've probably lived more than half of my life. I've got to live to 90 to do another 45 years. What are the chances of me living to 90 the way I live my life? You know, I drink, you know what I mean? I kind of go balls to the wall. The chances of me getting to 90, I think, are very slim.
No, you're
You
gonna
know, on my
make it.
dad,
You're gonna make
yeah,
it.
on my dad's side, it's iffy. On my mum's side, it's better. We've got more longevity. I think that's because of the Italian blood. We've got more longevity. I've told you about my great uncle. He's in his 90s. You know, my other one that lives in Ireland, he's in his late 80s, early 90s. So there's a chance. But you know, I think you start looking back. And I get very like nostalgic, you know what I mean, for the past. I was talking about it yesterday to you and Zaid. I was saying, you know, if I could go back, I would have loved to have been a teenager, a proper teenager, you know, 18 in like the 1980s or the early 1990s. I mean, by the time the 1990s come around, like 1990, I was 9 years old. You
Yeah.
know, I missed the 80s
Yeah.
and I kind of missed the best part of the 90s. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of like bitter about that because it's like that scene. It's kind of that scene in The Sopranos, isn't it? Where Tony Soprano goes to the shrink and he goes, I feel like the best is over.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I've come in at the end. I get the feeling that our generation's coming at the end of the story, not the start of the story when it's all fresh and new. You know what I mean? We've kind of like we've copped a bad lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and I can appreciate that. You know, I think often about like the men that were born in the 40s and had to go to war and how difficult that was for them, and then also the people that were born in the 30s that had to deal with the Great Depression. We got the crisis of '08. The financial crisis of '08 was a pretty big deal, and they're saying there's a bigger one coming with all the oil and all that kind of stuff, and how we're getting all that craziness. So, you know, it's very interesting where we're at in time. You know, I definitely think that the 80s and the early 90s were a lot of peak America. It was pretty fantastic. But that we know we've had our moments in the 90s and the early 2000s as well. And hopefully, you know, everybody here can have their moments in their own lives. You know, even if it's not going to be as widespread or as great as it once was, to try to make that better in your own life and try to have the
I'm
best
hopeful for a
fucking life.
renaissance. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
If
Renaissance.
it gets so bad, if it gets so bad, how I think it's going to get bad in places like Europe, England, and America, I'm hoping there will be a rejuvenation and a renaissance.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be around long enough to see it. That's what I'm
Oh,
hopeful
you're
for. But
gonna be around.
I think the people that we're talking about there, you know, the war generation, the people that lived through the banking crisis and all that, the financial crisis, some of them, obviously not the ones that threw themselves out the window, but a lot of those people from that era were teak tough. You
Yeah.
know, they were a different type of man. You know, like the men we used to watch in the film, you know, like if you watch the film noir film or you watch a Western, you know, a Gary Cooper, a John Wayne, a Victor Mature. These were like old school tough guys, you know what I mean? They weren't like ripped, they didn't have a six pack, you know, they were just big burly guys, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna grab a woman and make her, you know, we're gonna make her ours, you know what I mean? We're gonna go out and hard drinking. If someone mouths off, we're gonna punch him. No, it was like a different generation. They were like tougher men, like my dad. I think my dad was probably one of the last of that generation of old school tough guys. You know what I mean? You don't really see that now. I think the country tries to emasculate men, especially in England. They try to feminize them. They try to take away what it is to be a man, what it is to be masculine, what it is to be a provider for a family, for a wife, for a child. You know what I mean? They try and go, no, 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 you don't want to do that. You want to be in touch with your feminine side. You want to be in touch with your feelings. You want to be more empathetic. And it's like, that doesn't come naturally to me as a man, and I think it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. But the generations that have come after us are getting it beaten out of them in schools. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to have to be this way if you want to survive in the modern world. So forget anything about that masculinity, because that's old hat. We don't talk about that or do that anymore.
No, I agree with you, and I think it's a big scam. You know, we all know that famous saying. Hard times make for hard men, easy times make for easy men make for hard times, and so there's that big cycle. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about. They want the masculinity away so that they can parasite more from society. As society's becoming more and more feminized, the government has become bigger and bigger, the corporations have become bigger and bigger, and the quality of life has gone down. If you look at like even appliances from the 50s and 60s, they're much better than the appliances today. Even though the appliances today have AI cameras inside of them. Why do you need an AI camera in your refrigerator? I don't know, but they got them in there. Let me jump in the chat real quick and say what's up to a couple more people. We got Hobo Chili Recipe says, I'm starting to feel my age. Physically, I'm stronger, but it seems like it takes a lot longer to get my motor running. Anyway, In anyway, in beating aging. I'll hang up and listen. Yeah, let's fucking go, Hobo Chili Recipe. I think we're all maturing. You know, I used to think getting older was this thing where you kind of lost the ability to have fun or to know what was cool. But I think what I've come to understand is that as you mature, you come to realize what's really valuable and how to be more efficient with your energy. And you know, you really become a Jedi in that sense. And so it's very dangerous. I see a lot of people who don't mature; they just age. You see what I mean by that? They get older, but they don't get wiser, and so then their value kind
They
of
wither and die on the vine, don't they? It's
yeah,
like, you
their
know, they don't.
their value kind of expires, and you have to continuously reconfigure or recycle what your value is. You were born with youth that was given to you. You had beauty. You have to change that into children. You have to change that into wisdom. You have to change that into understanding. Then you have to carry that into older age, into empathy, so that you can again put back into the youth. That seems to be the cycle. Hobo Chili Recipe says pew pew and beans, 100%, bro. Get your beans, get your ammo. Stack up on that. We got CK in the chat. He says, "Yeah, lads, I'm a bit old now." Nah, CK, you're still young at heart. You still got that fan.
He's got the camera, man. You'll be forever young.
Nah, yeah, CK is going to be forever young.
You got those photos. You're taking moments in time. You're going to live forever because you're going to be forever young.
CK is a natural-born artist, man. One of the few guys who, he surfed probably more waves than I ever saw. Even pipeline everywhere. Hobo Chili Recipe says, "Rise." Reverend Doll 148 says, "I'm 46 and my childhood were the 80s, 90s, and my teenage years, and it was the best time of my life. Peak humanity." Completely agree. I remember, I look around now, I don't see kids out in the streets playing any kind of sports. I remember playing basketball, stickball. I mean, we play soccer, we play football, we play all that. We would rush out. When it got dark is the only time we would come in and actually watch TV, man. I'd be out from fucking the crack of dawn, if I was off school till the darkness came. And then if I was in school, I'd be out right after school. Bam, I'm right back out. I'm throwing the frisbee. I'm playing stickball. I'm blowing up GI Joes with firecrackers and M80s, and doing all that fun stuff too, bro. So
all I see is kids glued to their phones. They're glued to their laptops. They're glued to their tablets. This crazy thing I saw. Right, I was in Hailsham and I was just walking past. I think I had a coffee or something, and I saw this woman get off the bus, right? And she was like a big fat woman, but she had this kid, right? And it was a baby. This kid could only be like top whack a year old, right? And it had like the fucking tablet. You know what I mean? She was out and about and she had the tablet glued to the pram. You know what I mean? And the kid was just watching the tablet. And it was like,
yeah.
You know how she parents. Anytime that kid kicks off, get out the tablet. Anytime there's a bit you want a bit quiet, get the tablet. You know what I mean? She's like a tablet parent. And she's doing that from such a young age.
These are lazy ass hoes. This is what feminism has given us, bro. Lazy ass bitches, bro, that ruin children before they even get a chance to do anything. We got CK out there. He says, I need my walker. Rise. Let's fucking go. Hobo Chili Recipe says, CK, you're still a young man. Shut up. We got King Yeti. He says, rise. Let's fucking go. We got Mr. Jiki said, the kids that go out and play still have creativity in their heads and are viewed as weird now. All the cool kids are on their phones and jonesing for likes and clicks. Yeah, they're slaves, bro. They're slaves to the algorithm. Parents have trained their children to be slaves to the algorithm, to be trapped by the likes and the clicks that don't even fucking matter, that are completely manicured by these AI systems in order to shape society. It started out with them putting TVs in your house. Then you got like music with the Walkman in your ear. Now you got the phones right in your hand, and everything is tailored for that age demographic. And every time, like James, you were saying, I see these parents, and it's usually the mothers that do this, that just put the fucking tablet in front of the toddler or whatever. I cannot believe it. They're enslaving their children for the New World Order. It blows my fucking mind when I see that. And then they go, I don't know why he acts this way. It's crazy. And I'm like, bitch, because he's not an accessory. He's a child. He's a human being. Treat him like a human being, not like an accessory.
Do you know when I knew that we were in trouble as a society? Was when I was looking at the charts, like the music charts, and I was like, where's the rock music gone? Rock music, and Billy Corgan mentioned this from Smashing Pumpkins. He said it was something to do with the, he believes it's something to do with the CIA. The CIA decided that rock music was dead, so we're going to bring in rap. And he said it was like to flood the market, to flood the populace, to flood the kids with rap. He said that was what they were going to do, right? And I was like, where in England, UK, Britain, Europe, and America, where the fuck are the garage bands? Where are the kids picking up the drums, the bass, the guitars? How Metallica started. They released an album, Garage Days Revisited. Where the fuck are all the garage bands gone? I look at the charts and I see, look, I think I've said this on stream many a time. I think the last big band to come out of this country was the Arctic Monkeys from Sheffield, and they were a garage band. They just come out of nowhere. Where are these bands? They don't come out of nowhere no more. It's all pop shit. It's all rap. It's all drill.
Yeah, it's all manufactured by the computer, controlled by the machine. That's the music industry. Yeah, where are the musicians? Where's our next Mark Knopfler? I'm always singing the praises of Dire Straits, one of my favorite bands of all time. Then you also got Carlos Santana. Where's the next Santana going to come from? Where's the inspiration to play all these instruments to get in touch with creativity? What the hell is going on? We got Miami John in the chat. Shout out to Miami John. He says, long time listener. First time caller. Well, let's give him a round of applause for that one. Long time listener, first time caller. Let's let him go. Like my dad said, America has become a nation of pussies. What's your take? I'll hang up and listen. James, what are your thoughts? Are we a nation of pussies?
I think John's a nation of chasing pussy. I hear about this in Miami. Gene Borello, who is my favourite streamer by far, apart from us, of course. But he lives in Miami now. He's from New York, and he's like, yeah, Miami. It's a strange place. If you're looking for a woman to settle down with, don't go to Miami.
No.
It's full of brasses. It's full of whores. It's full of prostitutes.
Yeah.
That's basically what you've got here. And I'm like, why was John late? Why was he late on pizza night?
Party? Yeah. Was John?
So he was picking up a pizza with a side order of tart or brass, was he? Is that why he was late and couldn't make it? I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think he was picking up a prostitute and then a side of pizza. I think that's what was going on right there.
He offered her a slice.
Yeah, he gave her a slice, all right, a slice of that Cuban sandwich that he's got. We got Hobo Chili Recipe. He says, I remember finding sticks, shake those guns so we could play G.I. Joe. That shit was lit. And then I couldn't stop playing sports when I got older. Yeah, bro. We were playing sticks. We had slingshots. I remember my brother and I we had a pellet gun. We would play sniper. We would shoot out the lights from our neighbors' cars. Don't do that. That's terrible. But we did it. We had a great time. We would hide in the bushes. We would make our own ghillie suits and stuff like that. When we were like 10 or 11, we would hide in there and shoot out their lights, their rear lights and all that stuff, and had a great time. Then we'd go around blowing up G.I. Joes and anything we can get our hands on with little tiny lady finger firecrackers, big M80 firecrackers, stuff like that. We were smart enough not to get ourselves hurt either. Of course, our parents didn't know. They didn't know any of that stuff. So I told them much later when I was in my 20s, but that's all good. Well,
we're talking about people not playing sports, right, and how they're not getting into it and playing sports anymore. We've had the NFL draft, right, and I was watching it as a Patriots fan to see who they pick. I wasn't really following it that deep this year because we've been busy with other stuff, but I've heard a lot of people say that this is the lowest quality draft in years, and there is absolutely no depth to it whatsoever. You know what I mean? The chances of these prospects making it in the NFL are so slim, and I think because the pool's not there anymore. You know what I mean? It's like there isn't a pool in college sport anymore where you can make that transition to professional sport, because we don't have it in this country. We don't have drafts. We have academies, you know what I mean, stuff like that, where the players just go through the levels and the phases. But you have the draft system, and I think that the quality, it's like we were talking about the NBA and basketball. Where are the stars anymore?
Yeah.
If they are, they're coming from Europe.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, they did that. They passed that law where now college kids can receive money for their sport, so they make millions of dollars now in college. So there's not that big push. But also, the youth right now that are coming up have been feminized by that gay rap music, and I literally mean the rap music's gay, people. You see them, they do a fashion walk to the NFL. Like, what NFL players doing a fashion walk? And they carry purses, and they're wearing, like, feminine style clothing. Like, bro, that's not what a man wants to do. That's bullshit. We got Hillbilly Harry in the chat. He says, my boy's 23 and has a tiny online footprint. And he tells me all the time that I'm online too much. Well, Hillbilly Harry, Get offline, bro. Unless you're looking for pussy, which is acceptable. Let's
Do you think they
fucking
got
go.
that off the WNBA women? Because I noticed that, when it kicked off with the Caitlin Clark thing, it was all over Instagram and TikTok. I couldn't miss it. And I can't remember they got Caitlin Clark, an enforcer, a really fit blonde girl who knows martial arts. Hillbilly Harry might know who she is, but like, and she was doing all the fashion walk, like you said. They had the clothes, they had the bag, they had the strut. You know what I mean? So it's weird how like that originated maybe in the WNBA, and like male NBA players and male NFL players have adopted it. It's like a weird
It's
insecurity,
gay.
feminine type thing, isn't it?
That's some gay shit right there. Like, I don't want to watch a WNBA player coming a big Amazonian fucking Bertha Warfist or whatever coming up there trying to show me that she's still feminine at like 12'3". I'm like, bitch, just get out there and play that shitty ass basketball or get the hell out of
Who's
here.
the one they think's a fella? There's one that they think's a fella in there. The one that got caught over in Russia with the drugs.
Yeah,
What the
yeah.
fuck's her name?
I forget her name, but yeah, bro, I've seen some pictures. I've seen video of her, man, with her top off and all that in the pool. She's a dude, dog. She a dude. Miami John says he was at a strip club. That's why he was late getting his pizza and a little lap dance. Let's fucking go. Carrie says, my mister and I want to make a wrist rocket slingshot. That's what we had, Carrie. We had those wrist rockets with those little metal BBs. Those things would kill you. We had a good time with those. Let's see here. Who else we got? Hillbilly Harry says, any sport helps kids put them in anything other than sitting in the room. Yeah, bro. Get the kids into sports, get them physical, get them coordinated. Nothing makes me more mad than when I watch a young man who can't throw a baseball or a football. They throw like a girl. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this guy, bro? If he can't throw a ball, he can't throw a punch. So he's going to get taken out. Oh, Mr. Geeky coming in with the save. It was Brittany Griner was the person we were thinking about, James. Yeah, that's a dude. That's a dude with a chick.
That's one flat-chested woman, you know what I'm saying? I'd be proud to have a chest that flat, you know what I'm saying?
Facts, bro. Hillbilly Chili Recipe says, CK, we used to leave green tip ammo at the shooting range, and this is when civilian could get on post without checking at the gate. Thanks, 9/11. Yeah, bro, I used to live, when I lived in Sacramento when I was a kid, I lived right next to McClellan Air Force Base and Beale Air Force Base. In fact, James, we're going to transition into what we're going to talk about. I had a fantastic, my first experience at a wrestling match, because we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan in a minute, guys, and all his craziness, because he was a big part of my youth. I was a big Hulk fan. I loved wrestling. Junkyard Dog, Iron Sheik, Bam Bam Bigelow, the Big Boss Man, all those guys. Loved them all. Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, of course.
I used to have all the action figures. I fucking loved it, man. I had like Honky Tonk Man,
Rowdy
Million Dollar
Roddy
Man,
Piper.
Ted DiBiase.
Let's go.
You know the old school slammers. You remember they had the slammers where you lifted them up like that and you threw them down.
Yes,
so you had the old school slammers.
Yeah. Anyway, my dad had a friend, and he worked at Beale Air Force Base, and he was in charge. He was the manager in charge of an A-10 unit. I mean, if you guys don't know what A-10s are, they're the A-10 Warthog. They're that ugly airplane that has that big Vulcan cannon on it. That's basically a rotary gun, and it goes bert, bert, bert. And so anyway, they were going to have a big wrestling match. A-10s are beautiful. It's my favorite aircraft of all time. The A-10 Warthog, 100%. But so they were going to have a wrestling match, and so my dad's friend invited my dad and us to bring the kids. He brought his kids. It was a great time. But it was in this hangar on the Air Force Base, and it was in the hangar, and they had just moved the airplanes to the side, and we were next to all these big A-10 aircraft. And they put a ring in the middle of it, and we had the real wrestlers going at it. And I think I was like 10 years old, bro. And that was like the best day of my life. And I was looking around at these A-10 Warthogs, and I was looking around at the wrestlers, and the wrestlers came out and they ran through the crowd. And, it was fantastic. And so I had a really great time. But James, what was your first experience with wrestling? Do you remember?
Well, we had like the poor man's English version of wrestling. I don't know if you've heard of these two wrestlers, but the Fairfield Halls in Croydon, that's where all the wrestling used to be. And we had like I don't know what it was with our culture, but all the grannies, right, all the old women loved the wrestling. They used to sit in the front row, right, and they do their knitting and they get really excited and they cheer for Big Daddy. You know that big guy with
Big
he was
Daddy.
the big fat guy, and then his mortal enemy was Giant Haystacks,
Yeah.
and neither of them could wrestle. So all they would do, right, they built up to this big contest at Wembley Stadium, right. They were two old men. Giant Haystacks was an Irish guy. I can't remember his real name. And then you had Big Daddy Earl Crabtree. And like, they couldn't wrestle because they were two fat guys, right? So all they did a big belly bump in the middle of the ring, their fat bellies together, Giant Haystack shook, and then Big Daddy clotheslined him over the top rope. And that was the pinnacle of British wrestling until we had this revolution. And you got people like now, Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. and Callum Newman, who's like New Japan Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion, which is the wrestling I like. The wrestling that I follow now. I can't stand AEW. And I'm pretty iffy on WWE. Not iffy on like who's there, but just iffy on the product.
Yeah.
I think since it got taken over, I think they're very much leaning to Saudi Arabia in that market, aren't they? They're taking WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia next, which I think is going to be an absolute bomb.
Yeah.
Because the women are not going to be able to they're not going to be scantily clad. They have to cover themselves. You know what I mean? And as we all know, sex sells. So it's like
that's the whole reason. That's the whole reason you even have women involved. If they have to cover them up, get rid of the women. You know, we don't even care. Hobo Chili Recipe says he's seen an A-10 light up a field almost danger close, and this was a training exercise in the Black Forest of Germany. Yeah, them A-10s, some bad motherfuckers, bro. Don't fuck with them.
You want to try some Black Forest Gatto? That is some of the nicest cake you could ever have.
That's true.
Try some Black Forest Gatto.
Yeah, that's 100% true. But no, you're right, James. I remember back when it was WWF. They were pulling everybody together. They had the first Royal Rumble, and they had the first WrestleMania, and of course, the big guy that come out of it was Hulk Hogan. Terry. I forget his last name, but Terry
Bollea.
Terry Bollea. Yeah, and so
he's Italian. He's an Italian man.
Yeah, and so he got shot up to stardom. And of course, everybody loved him. Everybody wanted to be in Hulkamania. Everybody wanted to do the ear, wanted to do the listen for the crowd, the roar, and all that kind of stuff. And everybody's going, "What are you going to do when Hulkamania comes for you, brother?" I fucking love that shit. And of course, as a kid, we'd be watching on TV, and I'd just jump up on my couch and start doing the same thing, cutting a wrestling promo. I don't know, was it the same thing for you, James? Did you guys have that kind of stuff over in England too, or?
Yeah, the thing about it was, right, I was never a huge Hulk Hogan fan, just because I was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. Now, at the time, right, when you're a kid, you don't really know about the technical aspects of wrestling, and you don't know about the politics that goes on behind the scenes. But apparently, Ultimate Warrior was a fucking nightmare.
He was a nightmare.
He was an absolute nightmare. The man was batshit crazy. He come up with Sting, incidentally. Sting went to WCW, and Sting is beloved by everyone. He's a Christian. He's beloved by everyone. There's no one who's ever had a bad word to say about him. He even put Triple H over in WWE at WrestleMania, which was a terrible decision. But Triple H is Paul Levesque, is an egomaniac. And it's like, he's terrible. He was behind the scenes. He was unreliable. He was politicking. He'd done these really weird, nonsensical promos that no one could understand. Just like it drove people crazy. And Vince McMahon, and they even mention this in the documentary, Hogan was supposed to retire when he put over Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania. But Ultimate Warrior was such a bad champion, they had to drop the belt to Sergeant Slaughter, and they had to do a rehash because of the Iran war. They had to do a rehash of Hulk Hogan versus Iron Sheik, and it was Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter, but it was basically the same match at two different WrestleManias, and Hogan had to come back to save the company. Yeah. And that was one of the big chapters and big stories in the documentary, how the Ultimate Warrior was one of the worst WWF champions of all time, how he put the company right in the shit, and they had to bring Hogan back to bring the company back to the level that it needed to be, because he just didn't work as a champion, because you just couldn't work with him. He just turned up. He was another steroid freak junkie. He was on drugs, just like Hogan was a steroid freak junkie. But Hogan was a businessman. Hogan liked the money, Hogan liked the fame, and Hogan was reliable. You know what I mean? Ultimate Warrior was just a complete Looney Tunes who was fucking the company up from the inside out.
No, you're 100% right. And we're talking about the Netflix documentary. James, did you guys also have that arcade game? You know, it was like it came out, you could play 4 people at the arcade cabinet and you could do the, like, you could pick. I always pick Ultimate Warrior. I loved playing Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Hobo Chili Recipe in the chat. He says, he's talking about Randy Savage. He said he was really cool, even though he got a bad rep. He was very engaging with me and actually taught me how to improve my technique at the bench. So that's awesome. He said
he had one of the best storylines, didn't he? Do you remember? And it was like, this involved the fucking Ultimate Warrior again. There was a retirement match, wasn't there, at WrestleMania? I think Ultimate Warrior dropped the strap. It might not have been WrestleMania. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But it was a retirement match. Now, Macho Man wanted to carry on his wrestling career, and Vince McMahon said to him, look, no, you've got to retire. We want you to go in the commentary box because I'm going to leave the commentary box. Everyone knows I'm the owner now that I've taken over from my dad. I want to be front of house. I'm going to do the Mr. McMahon character maybe in the future. You're going to have to go on there and you're going to be like a Jerry Lawler. You know, you're going to be the color commentator. And he was like, okay. So they do the retirement match with the Ultimate Warrior, and he was like, Elizabeth, will you marry me? You know, they had the whole Elizabeth getting married thing, didn't they? And it was like, he always thought that Hulk Hogan was the one who was going to snake in with Elizabeth. Turned out it was Lex Luger who snaked in with Elizabeth. But, you know, it was like, he was with Sherry, wasn't it? Sherry was his manager. You know, they did the whole storyline. Elizabeth come through the crowd and beat up Sherry after he lost to Ultimate Warrior. And it built this story. But then they all ended up in fucking WCW and in the NWO, didn't they? So...
yeah, and the reason why this is so important is because, dude, this influenced a ton of young men, boys growing up. That's why they still hold on to wrestling even to this day, even though it's absolute dog shit. You know,
it's terrible now. It's so bad.
I mean, I stopped watching wrestling. I can't remember. I think when I was young.
They made Brock lose. Brock lost in about 30 seconds to this Obafemi guy, and it was like I think they gave Brock Lesnar a choice. It was like, you can put Obafemi over at WrestleMania, or you can lose to Gunther. I think it's SummerSlam, where it's in his backyard. So it was like, you can either retire now or you can retire later. And he's like, oh, fuck it. You know what I mean? He gets choke slammed, loses in a minute to Obafemi, and now Obafemi's the next big star or something. I don't know.
Well, you know, I kind of have a theory. I have a theory that really wrestling is like a CIA psychological test bed to see how they can manipulate like these public figures and see how the crowd responds, to try to, you know, turn them from heel to babyface, from good guy to bad guy, and back and forth, and manipulate the crowd in order to see these psychological tactics on how to manipulate large crowds or large audiences to get them to do what they want. But going back to the documentary that you're talking about, so Hulk Hogan comes up, he saves the company, right? He saves WWF, and then what happens?
Vince thinks he's had his run, he's had his time, it's over. And he's like, that's it, you know, we're going to have to talk about like you retiring. You know what I mean? We're going to have to move on to the next generation. The belt goes on Bret. So Bret's got the belt now. Bret the Hitman Hart's got the belt. Wrestling's moving in a different direction. You're seeing Shawn Michaels coming to the fore. You're seeing Paul Levesque as Hunter Hearst Helmsley before he was Triple H. You're seeing all this new, and people's minds are different, but Hogan's still like, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, and all this shit. And he's like, yeah, but no. And then what happens is Vince panics. He thinks Bret isn't doing as much as he could. He needs Hogan back. So he gets Hogan back. And then they did that silly one with Yokozuna, didn't they? Where Bret loses to Yokozuna because he gets the salt in the eyes. And then fucking Hogan comes through the crowd and Bret's like, oh yeah, please come and save the company, Hogan. Get in the ring, do the leg drop, win the title. And it's all a load of, you know, because Vince McMahon likes changing everything at the last minute, doesn't he? He's kind of like a unreliable narrator. He panics. He goes to whims. He always goes back to his old favourites. And he goes back with Hogan. But you also had to have the time. There was the steroid issue, wasn't there? Now, if you ask Vince McMahon, it's everyone else's fault. He wasn't giving the wrestlers steroids, right? But if you ask Hogan, Hogan lied and saved Vince McMahon from the steroid scandal. You know, he exposed himself as, yes, I took steroids. I wish I hadn't, you know. It was just one of those things. Because behind the scenes, people didn't realise that Hulk Hogan was a recreational drug user with Linda. He was the highest earner. He used to have all the parties at his house with his best mate, like Brutus the Barber Beefcake would be there. You know, Jimmy Hart was there. It amazed me. You know, Jimmy Hart, the manager, he lives in a fucking huge house. Jerry the King Lawler, they both got palatial mansions. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think there was that much money in wrestling for managers. But Jimmy Hart, I think it's because he done a lot of the music. He owns the rights for like Sexy Boy, the Shawn Michaels theme. He done a lot of the music, and he has a massive fucking house, I'm telling you. And so does Jerry the King Lawler. But they had a falling out. And this is when you saw Hogan. He went off and done Suburban Commando, like he tried to get in the movies.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
he said, yeah, I should have stuck with this. He said, I should have never gone to wrestling. He said, but it was a real drug. The drug. I couldn't be Terry Bollea anymore. The real drug was I was Hulk Hogan. I was Hulk Hogan now. I wasn't Terry Bollea. My body was racked. It was ruined. I should have done the adverts. I should have done the films. I should have stayed in the entertainment business. But he got lured back to the WCW because the whole premise, I think, of the documentary was who created the monster? Who created the modern WWF, WWE? Was it Vince McMahon when he took it over from his father, or was it the star Hulk Hogan? And if you ask Hulk Hogan, he's the reason the WWE is what it is today. If you ask Vince McMahon, he's the reason. And I think it's somewhere in the middle. And I always say this about the NFL when I talk about the New England Patriots. They always go, who created the modern dynasty of the New England Patriots? Was it Bill Belichick or was it Tom Brady? Well, it was Robert Kraft. Yeah. Because he hired Bill Belichick, right?
Yeah.
Then Bill Belichick drafted Tom Brady. Now, it was luck that he drafted Tom Brady because no one knew how good he was going to be, but he took a punt on him. No one else did.
Yeah.
And then when he got him in the building, he had Drew Bledsoe. Now, Drew Bledsoe was on something like a 7-year, $100 million contract.
Yeah.
And once Drew Bledsoe got injured, he threw him in the bin, let him go to a rival in the Buffalo Bills, a divisional rival, and he went with Tom Brady. And if you think about the first 3 Super Bowls, they were won on defensive football. Bill Belichick is a defensive mastermind. He won 2 defensive coordinator rings at the New York Giants. So then the other 3, you can put in Brady. And, of course, Brady won with Tampa. But you can't have one without the other. It was Vince and Hulk. And it was Hulk and Vince. But both of their egos together, they couldn't coexist. Eventually, they had to separate.
Yeah.
And then he went to WCW, and then we all know about the NWO. And for 80-odd weeks, WCW was the best.
Well,
and then
let's
it all went tits up.
Yeah, let's pause right there. But before Hulk Hogan went into Hollywood Hogan, which reignited everything, we got King Yeti in the chat. He says Jerry Lawler owns like a quarter of Memphis in Tennessee. That's why he's rich. He has like 20 companies too. Wow. He also says, Drew Bledsoe got injured. I remember when Bledsoe got injured.
Yeah.
Bledsoe was everybody was like, Bledsoe. Everybody, he's awesome. And then he got injured, and everybody was like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden,
Brady took his chance, didn't he? And they never looked back.
Yeah, he did great. They won that year, I think. They did fantastic. It was crazy. And then Tom, like King Yeti, he actually just said this. Tom never looked back. He took his chance, and he never looked back.
Because have you seen that? Did you see it when he did, like, they do that thing, don't they? They do that workout day.
Yeah.
He was unathletic. He was flabby.
Yeah.
He tested extremely poorly. But what he had mental acumen.
Yeah.
He had it up here. He's a fucking rocket scientist in his head. He can diagnose football plays like no quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I know people talk about Patrick Mahomes. I know people talk about Matthew Stafford now and people like that, but they can't do what Tom Brady can do. Tom Brady, to me, is like Joe Montana. He's like Dan Marino. He's a different level of quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and also King Yeti, he points out that Bledsoe was playing the best football of his career. But also of any quarterback ever until he got injured. Yeah, he was playing really good.
Yeah, could you imagine eating that contract? They had to eat like a fucking 6-7 year, $100 million contract. They had to eat that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, Drew. We got another one. Hillwell Chili Recipe says Drew Bledsoe was fire. You know, they did the same thing to Drew Brees in San Diego, and if you remember, Drew Brees then went to the Saints, and he won a Super Bowl, and they
won a championship, didn't he?
Yeah, and so fuck them. Taper says, Jerry, shout out to Taper in the chat. He's also a big contributor and winner in the Golden Vetoes. Fantastic illustration. He says Jerry Lawler owns a quarter of Memphis. And guess who owns the other 3/4? Ethan Ralph. That's a joke. He just kidding.
Did you see the thing he bought? I think Mersh posted it, and I wanted to say a comment, but I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm going to leave it. He bought his kid a Bluey, or bought someone a Bluey or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
And all I can think of when I see Bluey is like Vito. That's who was the guy that did the cartoon that you had to take it down with
that
Vito?
Was Taper. Yeah, that was
Bluey.
Taper. Shout out to Taper in the chat.
All I can think of was fucking Vito. You should go and look at that then, Taper. You should go and see Mersh posted Ethan Ralph calling him a cheapskate with a Bluey fucking thing. And all I can think of, who was that fucking artist? I'll go that got right on the stick.
Yeah. No, but no, it's funny because you're right. Ethan Ralph, he's kind of like a wrestling character himself, but he doesn't deliver anymore. That's his problem.
No.
He got caught by the drugs too, bro. He was supposed to do all this kind of conflict, content or whatever. He pulls up, but no, he's been radio silent ever since he got to Wisconsin.
Well, you've got a lot of people in the community that love wrestling, haven't you? You've got Mersh, obviously. You've got Mersh's friend or Royce's friend, Frozen Asian. You've got Ethan Ralph. You've got a lot of people that like wrestling.
Yeah.
And I like wrestling. You just can't watch it. It's like I could watch it. It's on Netflix. I could watch WWE. I could watch AEW. You know what I mean? But I don't choose to watch it because it's terrible. The product is terrible.
Yeah, the storyline's bad. It's got too much of a soap opera. It's not masculine enough. It's just too corporate, too DEI. It's like, man, what happened to it? We got Miami John in the chat. He says Joe Montana is the GOAT. After that era, they softened up the game and refocused on passing league, and that's why numbers inflated so much. Yeah, Joe Montana he was fantastic. So was Steve Young. Steve Young was incredible. Also, Dan Marino, he was something else too. And who was that person who played for the Oilers? The black guy, dude. That guy was
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon, bro. That guy was stellar. That guy, I always picked him playing Tecmo Bowl. That motherfucker could sling the football, bro.
I like prime Aaron Rodgers. For me, prime Aaron Rodgers was as good as Tom Brady. But the problem with prime Aaron Rodgers, he choked in the big games. He had I think he choked like 4. He choked off 4 games, but he was a good stat padder. You know what I mean? A guy that could make all the throws, had the stats. He's like,
bro, Aaron Rodgers.
And he did make me laugh. Remember when he used to go on Pat McAfee and say funny stuff?
Yeah.
He made me laugh when he went on Pat McAfee and said funny stuff.
I do like Aaron Rodgers, but he will forever be in the shadow of Brett Favre. Nobody could beat Brett Favre. Brett Favre could throw that motherfucking football like it was a fucking rope, man. He had a cannon, and he had that funny attitude. He was still hitting on women on the sideline, news women, like trying to send them dick pics and stuff well on into his 60s. So good for him, bro.
What about Vrabel, though? I mean, I'm a Patriots fan. Can you imagine that? Can we just go a season without, like, fucking Deflategate and fucking Spygate? And now we've got Pussygate with Vrabel and fucking, Diana Rossini or something. He's like, no, I didn't do anything. I'm only holding her hand and kissing her behind my wife's back. Nothing to see here, mate. It's like, oh, fuck off, mate.
Yeah, Hobo Chili Recipe says, nobody circles the wagons like Buffalo Bills. Yeah, who was that quarterback in the era, or the Montana era? They went to the Super Bowl 3 times. He was a great quarterback, but he never won.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly? I felt so bad for that guy.
They had Thurman Thomas as well, didn't they? Running
Thomas
back.
Was fantastic. That's another one. Great players who never won a Super Bowl. LaDainian Tomlinson of the Chargers. I love LaDainian.
Well, who's the guy that missed the kick and his life was completely ruined? Scott Norwood. Scott Norwood missed an easy field goal, didn't he? And his life was completely ruined after that. He couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
I think he sells cars or he works in real estate now or something.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely not kicking anymore. That's for sure. King Yeti says Warren Moon was the best quarterback of all time. Sad he never won a Super Bowl. Completely agree. Warren Moon was incredible, bro. Warren Moon was like the same level as like a Barry Sanders. Do you guys remember watching Barry Sanders? Bro, that motherfucker could cut up a football field. And I don't know if you guys were ever lucky enough to watch any of Bo Jackson's. We were just talking about Bo Jackson earlier. Bo Jackson on the Raiders, bro. That guy could fucking run.
He played baseball as well, didn't he? Didn't he play baseball?
Oh yeah, he played baseball. He broke baseball bats. I remember him. He would play he would play football game, and the next day he'd be playing a baseball game. And so was Deion Sanders, man. Deion Sanders.
Yeah, my favorite player was Deion Sanders, mate. I loved it when he was playing.
Yeah,
when he was playing cornerback for San Francisco and cornerback for Dallas Cowboys. And he also played for the Atlanta Braves, didn't he? He was the shit, mate.
The great thing about here's the thing about Deion Sanders that everybody fucking loved. He was cocky as a motherfucker, but he could deliver. See, that's the rule. You can be cocky if you can deliver. And he would like go out and deliver on a football on a Sunday and go play a baseball game that same night, bro, and still hit a home run. That was some shit. We don't see that anymore, man. We don't see that anymore.
I loved it because he not only did he pick off players, he took it back to the house. You know what I mean? And then he did that kind of thing with his legs, didn't he? Where he jagged both of the legs.
Yeah,
like that. He was doing the leg jag and stuff.
So
he liked to bring it in. He was like doing like the crotch chop.
Yeah, it was so fun. He was Showtime, man. Deion Sanders was Showtime.
He still is as a coach, though, isn't he? Yeah. Like, because of Shador.
Yeah.
I think Shador's going to get, like, the thing is, I don't think Shador's going to make it. He's at a terrible team, and he fucking Browns.
We'll see.
Shador, I don't know if he's going to make it.
We'll see how that goes. I think he's being groomed to be great, but we'll see how that goes. We got Hobo Chili Recipe says Warren Moon and Steve McNair. Steve McNair was another beast, bro. That guy was great. Randall Cunningham from the Eagles. Yeah, Hobo Chili Recipe dropped that one. Randall Cunningham was fucking awesome. Loved him. Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas, back up in college. Yeah, King Yeti's dropping that. Taper says Ray Finkel. Yeah, Ray Finkel, if everybody remembers, was on Ace Ventura when Einhorn Finkel, he missed the kick, laces out, and he was the man who was also a woman. Ray Finkel. Bro, when that came out, I got teased about that. Everybody called me Ray Finkel for like a fucking 2 or 3 months, and I was like, whatever. Einhorn Finkel laces out. Miami John just said that. Yeah. Taper says Bo Jackson wasn't human. He probably could have played a basketball too, 100%. And you know what? I heard that he does, or now I don't know if he still does it, but he's really big into archery now. He like makes his own bows, his own arrows. He like winds them all, and he does archery. So that's very, very interesting. Miami John says Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders are the greatest. King Yeti says Barry Sanders ran the ball over 800 times without a fumble. Barry Sanders, bro, that guy had magic. That guy could do things that weren't supposed to be physically possible on the football field, and he was something special. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, James. I don't know.
The running back position's dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like running back's dead, fullback's dead.
Yeah.
It's a passing league, like they said. You know, they load up on wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, everything.
You only have to look at the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Eagles have got so many wide fucking receivers now after the draft. They just loaded up on wide receivers.
Yeah, the other thing, it's a big passing league now. Everybody wants to see the big bomb, the big connections, the 70-yard passes. The other thing that makes me mad about football is how come everything's indoors now? I remember when you used to have to change your game plan in order to fit, like if it was going to be snowy or rainy or something like that. That was a part of football. But it's become so fucking pussified now that, like, you know, the players, I'm not going to play this game because of this and that or whatever. You know, I have a stubbed toe. I remember when, people would take those, what are they, not the cortisone shots, but the steroid shots in their spine so they could go out and play. And all that stuff. I remember Lawrence Taylor was another beast, bro. He'd be scoring an 8-ball of cocaine 15 minutes.
He headlined WrestleMania, didn't he, against Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yeah, he was also the first pro player to ever score a contract for $1 million. But he was a beast. He was a cokehead. But he was the shit back in the day. And he had that chip on his shoulder. He was fucking great, man. I love that guy.
Who's the one at Baltimore Ravens that killed someone? He was a linebacker. What the fuck was
Ray
his name?
Lewis, bro. Fuck. Yeah,
Ray Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah, he got off scot-free. He murked some guy, dropped him out of his limo, and then drove off, went to the game or something. That's crazy. Taper says, shout out to the Crimson Tide. Mark Henry and Denrick Ingram were the last good NFL running backs. Yeah, I could agree with that. Or cortisone. Yeah, cortisone shots is what they shot up in their back. King Yeti says he needs a cortisone shot. Ronnie Lott, bro. Do you remember Ronnie Lott? Ronnie Lott was a fucking beast, bro. Ronnie Lott, safety for the San Francisco 49ers. Fantastic athlete. Ronnie Lott was a shutdown type of defensive back. But, you know, the question is, they don't have the same kind of defense anymore. The whole sport has changed, much like basketball. You know, I don't know if you were watching last night, the Lakers, they're up 3-0 on the Rockets. And the big story, the big plot line here is that LeBron the father and Bronny the son are playing together in the playoffs and they won. This is completely scripted, in my opinion. Fuck all this shit. I'm sure
Bronny's terrible. It's terrible.
He's terrible. I'm sure that like fucking Kevin Durant, who's on the Rockets, is like going nuts right now because he wants to win another championship. But they're gonna script this for LeBron and Bronny to win it all. This whole father son thing because they want that storyline. Much like in football, where they did Taylor Swift and what's Kelsey was
Travis
Kelce. They want this storyline to bring in more audience. Like, bro, the audience is already huge. What are you guys fucking doing, man? What are your thoughts on that? The Lakers, the father son duo.
I saw bullshit. It's like Bronny's not even good enough to play in the G League. You know, it's really annoying. It's like he's like the ultimate like nepotism. If I was Luka Doncic and I was playing on that fucking team, I'd be mad because he's the best player in the Lakers by far. But everyone has to go, it's LeBron James. It's like these people that keep rehashing this argument. They go, LeBron's better than Michael Jordan. Fuck off. Michael Jordan played in an era which was so fucking physical and he was so far ahead of everyone.
And he played every game.
He played against fucking elite players and he did it three-peat. Went off and played fucking baseball, come back three-peat. And if what is it? Was it Jerry Reinsdorf? If it hadn't been the owner blowing up that franchise, they could have probably won 4 in a row. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Jerry Reinsdorf blew up the franchise, got rid of Phil Jackson, got rid of Rodman, got rid of Pip. I don't know if Pippen, did Pippen stay around for another season? I can't remember. I think they went with Tony Kukoc, but it's like it was Kukoc's team, but he blew up the team. And it's like, you can't compare Jordan. You can't compare eras. Jordan is far superior to LeBron James, but everyone, they get this like fucking recency bias. You know what I mean? They forget about the past. And it's like, yeah, LeBron James. It's like, and they go, oh, Bronny assisted LeBron. Yeah, it only took him like 140 games, mate. Yeah. It's like, he's a fucking clown. Well, he shouldn't even be in the league. Well, he's in the league because he's got a good manager. I think it's the one who manages like Jay-Z or something. He's like that one and Adele, and he's his friend, I think.
Well, his father said, "No, you gotta draft my son." That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
But what happens with the NBA is they have to champion a new group of superstars every season or every era. So they have to keep doing this, and that's why they have Bronny and LeBron together. They're trying to get LeBron James to pass the torch to his son, but it's not going to happen, bro. Bro, what happened to the days of Allen Iverson, man? That was some fucking gritty ass.
The answer. I got a shirt. I got an Allen Iverson shirt.
Allen Iverson was the shit, bro. He was as gritty as they come, man. And you mentioned, the Bulls, and the one person I would love to say is Dennis Rodman, the Worm. However weird he was, that guy put it all on the line every game, every time.
And Dennis Rodman was also in the NWO.
Yeah, he was also in wrestling too. That's right. But that's what I'm saying is like somebody said earlier, I forget who it was. He hasn't watched. Oh, it's Hobo Chili Recipe hasn't watched basketball since the early 2000s. He also said King Yeti said Hack-a-Shaq ended the NBA. Do you remember when that happened? When you got Shaquille O'Neal comes out, and then all of a sudden they start fouling him in the last quarter of the whole game because they know he can't shoot free throws.
Yeah, can't shoot foul throws.
That changed the entire game after that. And then it all went downhill after that. What are your thoughts on that, James?
I'm surprised. It's like, I didn't think I'd live in an era where you saw a team like Oklahoma City Thunder be so dominant, because they're kind of like, you look at their roster and you think, how? But they've done it through the draft. They've got like Shai Gilgeous is the star, and then they've got a lot of bits and pieces. So they've kind of got like a core group where they can rotate. But it's usually super teams, isn't it? Like you have the Bulls that got 3 or 4 good players, or Golden State Warriors, or LA Lakers. So I'm surprised the league's moved in a weird. It's like when you look at Denver's roster, right? If you take out Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, it's shit.
Yeah,
it's a shit right now. They're getting turned over by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, they may go out. But you look at them and it's like, I just look at the league now and it's like, the playoffs are terrible. all the big teams are not big anymore, and it's just like, what? It's like a junior league or like a kids league. You know what I mean? It's not fun. It's just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. Shout out to Zayd in the chat. He says, loving it when Looney Tunes recruited Jordan. We got D-Wag in the chat. Shout out to D-Wag. Everybody knows Larry Bird, the Indiana native, is the greatest player and passed the torch to Michael Jordan. Taper says Rodman was an apex predator. He'd kill it in the league today. King Yeti said, I'll be watching Gen Z reviews, mouths drop as they watch NBA highlights from the 80s and 90s. Facts, 100%.
The thing about Rodman that was so great, he would have like no points, no assists, and like 30 rebounds. And I love that statistic. You know what I mean? He was just a power forward that did the dirty work. He didn't need to score because Jordan would score.
Yeah.
Pippen would score.
Well,
they had BJ Armstrong in the first incarnation. They had Ron Harper. They had like Luke Longley chipped in with some points. Steve Kerr off the bench chipped in with some points. Tony Kukoc was 6th man of the year in the second run. So they had people that could contribute. All they needed from Rodman was to do the dirty work and pass it to Jordan.
No, you're 100% right. And, I knew that basketball was over with when I would see James Harden out there isolating and then somehow still score 30 and 40 points of a game. Back in the old days, the old league, like the 90s, maybe early 2000s, a whole team would shut a guy down. They could shut a guy down. Like I watched Michael Jordan and his crew shut people down. I watched the Pistons, shut people down. I watched the Jazz, Karl Malone, John Stockton shut people down defensively. You just don't see that anymore. It's like they score at will. They get the isolation. They clear the lanes out. It seems like it's more like a soap opera now. It's not even real.
Do you remember the games when it was like 86-69?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like through 4 quarters. Now you'll have 86-69 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
They'll be like putting up 130 points and it won't even go to overtime. And they'll be like, oh yeah, they've hit like 20 threes. Everyone's always I never used to see so many threes in a game. It's like all it is now is a guy going up to the arc and shooting fucking threes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. Speaking of threes, D-Wag says Reggie Miller. Yeah, Reggie Miller used to be a sniper from the 3-point line. So did Ray Allen. Ray Allen was incredible. Miami John says Rodman was extremely athletic too. He could jump with the best of them. Taper says he was a defensive specialist back when defense was still played. Hobo Chili Recipe says Larry Bird might have been one of the biggest shit talkers, and that was coming from Gary Payton. Yeah, Gary Payton was incredible too. And of course you got the Fab Five, coming out of Michigan State. Their freshman year, they almost won it all in the NCAA. And then you had them go and go into the league, and they were incredible too. They had the black socks on, first time anybody's ever worn the black socks in basketball games. What was Sean Kemp, I believe, and then you had
well, look who he went up against. At Seattle, Jordan went up against Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
At Charlotte, he went up against Muggsy Bogues and Larry Johnson. And at Utah Jazz, he went up against John Stockton and Karl Malone.
Yeah.
So when you like disparaging Jordan and saying he ain't on LeBron's level, look at the people he fucking went up against to win championships.
100%.
Yeah, he won. Yeah, he didn't go to like 7 games in the final, but that's because he was fucking Jordan and they were the Bulls. They beat you.
Yeah.
That was just it. You know what I mean? He went up against, who was it he went up against? Did he go up against Hakeem Olajuwon?
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler? He went up against fucking elite.
I was going to say
players,
Drexler.
Man.
Yeah, Clyde the Glide Drexler was incredible. Zaid's dropping a great name in the chat right now. Pistol Pete Maravich. Pistol Pete, one of the best ball handlers, basketball players of all time. Grew up with his dad, who was a coach for a college team, and he was dribbling a ball since he was like 5 years old. There has never been a talent like Pistol Pete since that time. He came right before the era of like the guys we were just talking about. He was before Olajuwon. I think he was in the 60s, mid 70s, but he was an incredible player. I don't know if he ever won a championship though. He would average like 60 points, 70 points a game sometime. Pistol Pete.
Another one was Dikembe Mutombo.
Oh yeah,
he was a fucking defensive. He was a defensive fucking god, mate. Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah. Of course. It was fantastic. Who we got? Chili Recipe says Nick Van Exel. Yeah, Van Exel was fantastic. You had all these like role players that were important. Now it seems like all you hear about is like the 1 or 2 players for the team. Like you hear about of course LeBron James. You hear about the different players that are making the moves right now that they're trying to pump up. It doesn't feel like you have an organic cast of characters. You got a Steph Curry.
You know why? You've got idiots like fucking Skip Bayless online. You've got all these talking heads now. If you watch basketball on TV, right? It's all the presentation. It was like, what was it I watched the other day? I told you I watched WrestleMania, right? I watched WrestleMania and I'm sitting there because I'm like, I'm going to do a video. I'm going to talk to Ray about it. We'll have a laugh. It'll be good. It'll be good content. I watched it for 5 fucking hours, right? and it was an hour and 40 minutes of wrestling. The rest of it was fucking promos and fucking adverts.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like when you watch the basketball. It's all these old talking heads, you know, and they've all got their agendas, right? Because they all played in a certain era. They've all got their favourite players. They've all got their grudges and their gripes, and they bring it into the TV studio, and they fucking just make watching it annoying because it's like, yeah, I don't like that guy. I don't like that player.
No,
you know, I'm not going to give him his respect.
No, you're
or
100%
props or
right.
love.
It's too touchy-feely, and I think Hobo Chiller Recipe, he makes a good point. He says, even though he was a douchebag, Rex Champman. The thing is, you could be a douchebag back in those days if you could back it up with your play. That was what was so important. We got D-Wack. He also says Anthony Hardaway. If you guys remember Anthony Hardaway, when he was with Shaq back,
that's Orlando, isn't it? Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, back when they were the Orlando Magic for those first 3 seasons before he got injured, nobody could touch Anthony Hardaway. If that guy stayed healthy, he would be Jordan level, bro. He would be up there. Anthony Hardaway, he was fantastic.
I remember they had a really good 5, but couldn't get it done. I can't actually remember who the 5 was now. I think they drafted and got. I think they traded and got Horace Grant from the Bulls. I think there was a time that Horace Grant was on the Magic. They had Penny Hardaway, and they had a couple of other really good players, but I can't remember that. They just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, no, facts. And then also, you know, another person, White Chocolate, Jason Williams on the Kings. Jason Williams was incredible. And he was actually, who was that? Who was he with? He was with that tall descender. I forget who his name was. It escapes me at the second, but they were a really good duo. They had a really good team that never got it done either. But, you know, I do feel like the season is scripted. Maybe not so much the regular season games, but when it comes to the playoffs, 100%.
I think it's going the Spurs way. I think Spurs are the coming force because of Victor Wembanyama. I think when I look at the Spurs, they're young, you know, they've got Popovich ain't there no more. They think they've got a black coach, and I think they've got a black coach, and they fucking like, and they've hired women before. I think there's like fucking. I think Spurs are like the coming thing, and they're the darling of the league. I've seen a lot of people online say how.
Yeah, the audio just cut out. Let me fix that real quick. Good catch, James. James catching the fact that the audio cut out. Let me fix that. I was busy reading the chat, not paying attention, trying to line up the next thing we were going to talk about. But here we go. I think you're back now, James. Are you back?
Am I back?
You're back, buddy.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, yeah. I think like Popovich is like very left wing, and you know it's like a left wing style organization. So I think like the Spurs are kind of like the darling of the NBA at the moment. I think they're going to get the big push. They're getting a big push in the media. All I hear about is people talking about Victor Wembanyama, and they're going, "How is it that Victor Wembanyama's French, and yet he talks about ice where other players won't talk about ice? He talks about all the things that Trump's doing and what's wrong with America. And you had Popovich before that, and now hiring of women." So I noticed the media class are very in love with the Spurs as an organization. So I think they're going to get pushed as the next coming force.
Yeah, 2 things. Miami John, he remembered who I was talking about. The Kings brought street ball style to the NBA. They had Chris Webber. That's who I was talking about. C-Web with Jason Williams. And Vlade Divac. Vlade Divac was a beast back then. But no, I think you're 100% right, James. I think what they're doing is they're scrambling right now. They realize this could be LeBron James's last season. And so they're trying to get the next anointed superstar for the next era. We're right in between the eras, and it's very risky for the NBA that if they don't have an emergent superstar to now carry the torch forward, they could lose a tremendous amount of viewership. As a matter of fact, they already are losing a tremendous amount of viewership because of how shitty the fucking basketball games are. That's what's going on.
Don't forget, they subsidise the WNBA, and all the WNBA women just went out on strike to get a pay rise. Now, usually you get a pay rise when the attendances go up. Now, as far as I'm aware, the only decent attendances of the WNBA is when Caitlin Clark's in town. So I don't know what warranted this pay rise. That's obviously going to have to be subsidized by the NBA.
Yeah, King Yeti says Sean Kemp was a fucking problem, and I think that's an understatement of the fucking decade right there. Sean Kemp was a beast, bro.
He was muscular, wasn't he? He was a ripped guy.
Bro, that guy could dunk for days, bro. He was incredible. No, but going back to the WNBA real quick and Caitlin Clark, I don't know if you guys ever watched any of the footage of how much those bitches beat up on Caitlin Clark, bro. It makes me angry when I watch that shit. And then they act like, what? And I'm just like, oh man, these hoes, bro. I can't even watch the NBA for that, or the WNBA for that.
2 things that annoy me about that.
So mad. Yeah, what?
Caitlin Clark's white, right? and then you've got a bunch of white lesbians that go to bat for black lesbians.
Yeah, what's that all
and
about?
Start beating up on the star of the league that's bought you more attendances, more eyes, and more money. The only reason that you're getting paid is because of Caitlin Clark. The only reason you're getting people watching you is because of Caitlin Clark.
Facts.
The only reason you're getting endorsements and shoe deals and people talking about you is because of Caitlin Clark. And you decide to beat the shit out of her up on court so badly that her sophomore season was spent on the bench. And you really enjoyed that. But apparently the darling of the league is Angel Reese, who couldn't hit a barn door with a fucking banjo. She's a terrible shooter.
Yeah.
She can't shoot from the free throw line. She can't shoot from the arc.
Facts.
She can't shoot in open play. She can't do a layup. All she can do is do rebounds.
Well, she can do one other thing, James. She grows a pretty nice mustache. We got Hobo Chili Recipe. He says, "Damn, we got to do a Florida meetup with all the other Florida people. We outnumber the rest." Yeah, 100%. We'll have to fly James into Florida. Maybe do it in Tampa, and then I'll have to fly in from California. We'll try to get the ROTC boys and do a whole big one. That'd be a lot of fun. Taper says the astounding thing of the NBA of the WNBA. He hates is when the WNBA more than he already. Oh, the astonishing thing of the WNBA makes me hate the WNBA more than I already did. Yeah, the astroturfing of the WNBA. Yeah, bro, I cannot stand it. And also when they do that now, they do that whole fashion model routine where everybody gets up. Hey, Caitlin Clark, what are you wearing today? Like, bitch, get out! She's going to play a basketball game. I don't want to see a fashion walk right now. I'm not going to watch that. Yeah, so I can't stand the WNBA at all. Even when they beat up Caitlin Clark, I don't care. It makes me even madder. It makes me want to like fucking go on strike. It's hard for me to watch the NBA right now because everybody's a big fat pussy. I'm watching these like, did you guys see that like fucking video of LeVar Ball acting all fucking gay and shit with that other guy? Bro, the gay vibe in the NBA is so fucking high right now. I'm like, what the hell's going on? James, did you see that by any chance?
No, he's the big baller guy, and with the big baller and his kids, isn't it? He's like, I saw him. It was like someone said something. It was like he was shocked that someone thought was a better player than his son. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but like most of your sons are crap, mate. LaMelo plays in the G League, he's shit, and I know because I'm like a Bulls fan. Lonzo Ball was injured and a bust. He's more of a musician, a rapper, I think. Riley will probably know this. He's more into his rap music and being a musician and fashion and off the court stuff. So I think, who was the other one? I can't remember the name. I can't remember his other kid. I think he might be the best of the bunch. I think, was he at Charlotte? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think
Charlotte.
He was
That's
like, I think he's like.
About.
He's got one decent kid. Yeah. The rest of them,
and he's
crap.
He's the one that acts gay. Hobo Chili Recipe says, "Did nobody talk about Vince Carter? What the fuck? Yeah, Vince Carter,
slam dunk guy.
That guy is a problem." And also, who was Tracy McGrady was incredible. Who was the big Celtics center with the run where they just had back in 2008 era? He was tall, bald, black guy. He was incredible, bro. His name slips my mind right now. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But he
still got Jason Tatum, didn't they?
Yeah,
he got Jason Tatum.
But he was with what that last run that they had. He was fantastic. D-Wax says Angel.
What's your favorite basketball game? Don't say anything other than NBA Jam.
No, I loved NBA Jam. NBA Jam was fantastic,
Jam is the shit.
Bro. I used to play that all the time at the arcade.
Yeah.
And then of course on Super Nintendo and when it kept coming out. And then NFL Blitz, I played that. That was a lot of fun. But NBA Jam took the world by storm back in the day, bro. That was so much fun.
That's such a good game, mate. I could play that for days, NBA Jam. I fucking love it.
Yeah, that was so good.
When you get on a hot streak and you're dunking from the halfway line.
Yeah, and that game blew up for a couple of years. Then it kind of went out of here. But I love the NBA Jam, though. It was great. But getting back to the whole wrestling thing, so then you got Hulk Hogan. He goes Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He's a bad guy for the first time, right? He comes back, and then what happens, James?
So he's doing the old NWO thing, and the thing I think where it went wrong with the NWO is WCW was a shit show. They couldn't it was wrestling. It was wrestling, not really entertainment. And the thing that really fucked it was the finger poke of doom.
Yeah.
It was like. Yeah, Hogan, like, you know, there was Hogan, and at the time I didn't realise this. This was something to me. Hogan was flirting with running as president, and it wasn't just a kayfabe story within the NWO. He was actually going on talk shows and thinking about it. You know what I mean? But like Hogan, he blew hot and cold in it. But they did the finger poke of doom with Kevin Nash, who'd already used a cattle prod to take the title off of Goldberg, and then done the finger poke of doom. He falls over, pins him. And that's kind of like the end of the NWO, its height. You know, they got NWO Wolfpack, they got all the old guys, people coming in, coming out. And then Vince Russo comes in. And Vince Russo can't stand the old guys. He can't stand Hollywood Hulk Hogan. There's this whole thing with the belt. And then it basically ends in a disaster. And Vince McMahon comes in and buys the company. And then that's your lot. And what does Hogan do? Hogan's out of work again. And this is where he loses his family.
Oh.
He decides, Osbournes, they had this reality TV show.
I remember this.
So I'm going to do, they come, Hogan Knows Best. And he said, the reason I'm going to do Hogan Knows Best is because my wife Linda's a right cunt, right? She's sick of being in the she's sick of being in the shadows. He's falling out of love with her, right? She's sick of being in the shadows. She wants to come out of the shadows. She wants to be famous in her own right. She doesn't want to be Mrs. Hulk Hogan. She wants to be Linda Hogan. And she had all the work done, didn't she? Lovely pair of tits.
Man, isn't that what all the bitches do? I mean, Steph Curry's wife did the same thing. Like they all say, "Oh, my husband's famous." No, but I'm famous. Bitch, you ain't famous. Shut the fuck up. So go on, James.
So yeah, and then he also wants to push Brooke. Brooke apparently had a fledgling music career. I wasn't aware of this. Now Brooke is the spitting image of her mother, isn't she? You can't deny she's her mother's daughter. She's like that blonde, you know, Cali girl. You know what I mean? She's like fucking. She's got the look, in she, just like her mother had back in the day, and like she's fucking. So, and Nick's this older guy, right? And I think this is where it went wrong with Nick. Nick was like this older guy who wanted to do the music, wanted to go out partying with his friends. And he was like nearly 20, like late teens, 20. And they wanted to treat him like a kid. They wanted him to be like Jack Osbourne. So he would have to get the Dennis the Menace and do the pranks and water bomb people. And it kind of like messed with his head. And by the end of this, Hogan had no marriage. His kids were barely talking to him. And his wife had run off with a teenager.
Yeah, I remember that.
They get to the divorce court and he's like, I hate my wife so fucking much, right? I'm going to give her 70% of what I own.
Wow.
So he gave her 70% and he basically left us broke.
Wow.
His kids weren't talking to him. He'd slept with Brooke's best friend. I mean, like some young girl.
W.
He slept with he slept with Brooke's best friend.
W.
So she wasn't talking to him. Yeah. She wasn't talking to him.
Real quick, let me jump down in the chat. Kevin Garnett was always thinking about Miami John coming through with that one. Taper says NBA Street V2. Who else we got? We got Steph Marbella dropped by D-Wag. D-Wag says and one was dope. Yeah, the professor from and one is dope. Consequently, the other professor, which is a rapper, the prof, if you guys don't know him, go check him out. He's on YouTube. He's got great rap, bro. I fucking love his shit. He's really, really good. But yeah, the professor, he has a fantastic story. The street baller. He actually grew up, was out in Compton, was shooting all of the scenes from his apartment until he blew up, and then he moved out of there. He was very poor, and he made it, so that's fantastic. Zaid says, and one competitions were awesome. Fucking loved it. CK says, like Mooch, Obama, like Hilda Clinton. Yeah, 100%. Let's see who else we got. What else we got? Whole boy chili recipe. CK. He says, "Dang, James, the lad is a regular landowner gossip column. Shit hot." Yeah, James just watched that big Netflix documentary about the Hogans. The thing I was gonna say, James, was that the son he killed his friend in a drunk driving accident, and that really fucked him up for like ever. Right after that.
Do you want to know something? Yeah. Brooke Hogan wasn't in the documentary. Okay. She wasn't in it. She said she didn't want to be in it. She's basically divorced her parents.
Yeah.
So much so that she asked to be taken out of Hogan's will. She got no money. She has no contact with her family. I think after the documentary came out, you can go and have a look at this. She went on a podcast with Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah.
And They basically ran the family into the ground.
Wow.
She and Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah.
I think was Bubba the Love Sponge his best mate, where he got caught with the
Yeah.
Gorka thing, wasn't
Yep.
it?
Yep.
He shagged the wife, yeah. So obviously wouldn't like Hogan. But they go. What happens is after that, he's so stony broke. He's got no money. He's basically got 30% of nothing. He needs to go back to work, but his body is a shell. He's like a fucking junkie. He's drinking, and Bischoff comes to him and goes, "Hey, I've got this new thing with TNA. Do you want to come in? We go into partnership. You come to TNA." So he goes to TNA, and the plan is not for him to be a behind the scenes person. It's the plan for him to get in a wrestling ring. Well, that didn't really happen. He just done blood sport matches with people like Abyss and Sting and Flair. It didn't really amount to anything. And while he was at TNA, he had 10 back surgeries.
Damn.
And apparently he goes, I was shoving fentanyl up my nose just to get through the day.
Wow. So is that when he like really became like a drug addict? Because I heard he was
he became a fentanyl addict. He was in such severe pain. It wasn't just like one back surgery. He goes, he had knee replacements, he had hip replacements, and he had like 10 back surgeries while he was at his TNA stint. And I can't remember how long he was in TNA. I think he was only there for like 3 or 4 years. But his daughter was involved. Do you remember she was involved in a marriage angle with Bubba Ray Dudley? And it was all weird, and it was like aces and eights, and it was like his whole situation was he was going through a second divorce. He'd met a woman, didn't mention her, she wasn't on the documentary, she come and went. And then he was so fucking damn bad after this. He was just at a bar, he was languishing, he was feeling sorry for himself. And then comes this really hot blonde. I think her name was something like Sky. She took the Hogan name. It was like love at first sight. Apparently.
I do love a
really
hot blonde.
Young, hot. He loves the blondes. Always hot blondes with this guy. I think her name is Sky Dallas something.
Okay.
And like he gets married to her, right? And she's got this autistic kid, and he suddenly becomes a born again Christian. He goes to church. I found Jesus. Praise the Lord, I found Jesus. And he goes to church and he's like, I was listening to every word. And it's like, you could see the things going around in his head like it's the next grift, the next money maker, the Christian grift. Because there's one thing you got to know about Hogan. Hogan knew how to make a buck. He knew how to spend a buck and lose a buck. Mainly it was his wife. He goes, my wife was such a bitch, right? I'd come home with 7 figures and she'd go, is that it? That was about Linda. And Linda was on there like saying, oh, Hogan was the love of my life. I met him.
Yeah, she wants him back or something. Or she wanted
I wish we
back,
never got divorced. Yeah. I didn't mean to like get with a 19-year-old. I didn't mean to like take his boat and drive past his place that he was renting every night, shagging this 19-year-old and like rubbing it in his face. But, there was that. And it was like, he was really happy. Right. And then they brought him back to the WWE. Right. And Paul Levesque was like, yeah, we brought him back, but I knew that we were in LA. And because he'd done the political arc with Trump, he come out as a big Trump supporter. He'd ripped off his shirt, he was like Trump all the way. He goes to LA, right? And he's there with Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy Hart's, baby, they're gonna be shouting your name, baby. It's gonna be amazing. Hogan comes out and they boo him out of the fucking building.
Wow.
They literally boo him out of the building. And there was like, and like Cody Rhodes was like, fucking hell, you know what I mean? And Paul Levesque was like, oh, fucking hell. And all I could think of, right, was that piece of shit CM Punk. Because I remember at the time how he was rubbing it in and hating on Hogan. Because Punk likes to think that he's really edgy, you know what I mean? And he takes a stand and he does all this, like, straight edge.
Yeah.
He's all this fucking guy. But he doesn't take controversial opinions, Punk. He's just like, what is popular thing? Right. People that hate Israel, I'll go Palestine. You know what I mean? Oh, feminist genre like that. You know what I mean? He always takes the popular opinion.
It's performative.
He's not a guy that cares about women. He's not a guy that cares about the Middle East. He's not a guy that cares about Trump or ICE. It's just that I'm supposedly a punk. I'm supposedly a rebel. I'm supposedly anti-establishment. I don't smoke, drink, or do drugs. So I'm going to take the popular opinion of the day. I'm going to side against America and side with Iran. You know what I mean? He's that type of guy, because it's the easy road to take. It's not the hard road. It's easy to be an anti-Trumper, isn't it? Fucking everyone is. Yeah. It's like, and he was like that. And it was like, then to cap it all off, right, he's like, they go to it at the end, they go, we'll see you in 3 months' time, Hulk. We'll see you in 3 months' time. We'll wrap it up. We'll tie it up. Everything will be sweet as a nut. No problem. And then he goes in for a neck surgery. So he goes in for this neck fucking surgery. It goes really bad. And then a couple of weeks later, he's dead and gone.
Dead.
And the wife was like, I really wish he'd never gone in for the neck surgery. And it was like, and Jimmy Hart was crying, and they had all the people there, like Ted DiBiase came back, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Cody said some nice words, and so did Paul Levesque. But the bit that got me at the end, right, and this is how you have to look at the modern WWE, right? When they were going to do this tribute to Hogan on the day he dies, and the next WWE event, Paul Levesque had everyone in the room, Triple H, and he was like, I know some of you may feel one way about this, and I know some people may feel another way, but this is Hulk Hogan. This is Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He's an icon of our industry. He helped build this industry, so we're going to go out there. We're going to give him the bell salute, and we're going to show respect to him because he created this, along with Vince Sr., and we're going to do him right. But if any of you don't want to be there, if any of you feel uncomfortable about his previous support of Trump or his words or the Gawker thing or the drugs, you don't have to be there. You know, it's optional. You know, and I was like,
fuck that.
Can you not just put politics aside to salute the man that he died? You know, and they went in the Gawker lawsuit. Everyone knows that, so. Well, I'm not really going to go into that. He bankrupted Gawker, then he bankrupted it, and that was that. That was the end of that because of the sex tape leak. But
the crazy thing is, like, the whole thing was built on sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then now they're ashamed of it, bro. The whole thing that you guys even have now was because of all this. So now it's going to be too controversial for you to honor somebody. I mean, Vince McMahon was apparently getting blowjobs, in his office and forcing the other wrestlers, the female wrestlers, to have sex with him and stuff like that. All of those allegations coming out. So, I mean, like, come on, give me a break. Oh,
the internet wrestling community is a cancer. It's a cancer. If you go online, anyone that talks about wrestling online, it's a cancer because it's not viewed that it's scripted. It's entertainment. It's larger than life characters. It's good guys and bad guys. It's good overcoming evil. It's like, what politics do they have? What sex do they have?
Yeah.
What gender do they have? How do they feel about current situation or modern viewpoints? That's how people. It's like how Brock Lesnar didn't really get a good send off.
Right.
Brock Lesnar got a shit send off because, like you said, he was involved in the Vince McMahon sex scandal. It's all allegations. Nothing's been proven. But mud sticks, and that's what it's like with these people. But we were talking about Nicky's son, right?
Yeah.
He's just basically. From what I can see, he's just basically living in his dad's gym.
Yeah.
He's just basically living in his dad's gym, using his dad's gym equipment and trying to turn into his dad. He's like a bald version of his dad.
That's what's going to happen.
He's lifting the weights. Yeah. He's trying to look like him. He's trying to be like him. And he's just stuck in this limbo of someone who idolizes his dad so much he can't move on with his life now he's dead.
What?
He's just like, oh, look, here's my dad's shoe. I'm a size 12, but my dad was a size 17. Look at what a hero my dad was. Yeah. My dad was Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? And he can't move on with his life.
Well, and also that era is over with. Like you just said, they're embarrassed of those types of men. The men that actually built big things, they're embarrassed of them now. We got Hobo Chili Recipe in the chat. He says, Linda Hogan is an awful person. My parents lived in Bel Air where the Hogans lived. Everyone in town hated her. She had a problem. She was a problem. 100%.
She didn't come across as good. She come across as like someone who, like when they met, like she said, I didn't go over immediately. Hulk came into the room because he was a bassist. I didn't know this, but he was a really, really good musician and a really good bassist. And he was like, because his brother was the favorite, the family didn't like Hulk. You know what I mean? They didn't like Terry Bollea. The older brother was the favorite, right? And the older brother apparently was in the Hells Angels.
Oh,
right.
Wow, damn.
But he was a real tough guy, and the dad respected tough guys. And he wanted his son, to be have a proper job, like be a labourer, be a builder, be a man like your brother. And he was being a musician, and he was doing this wrestling, right? And he didn't really fucking like or respect him. So he didn't have that family thing, Hogan. And the wife was like, oh yeah, when he walked into the room, I was like, yeah, he's really good looking, but all these women were around him. But did you see, he came up to me and he made me, he got me. I didn't get him. he got me. You know,
Yeah.
he had to make the effort. And throughout his life, it was like never enough.
Yeah, never
He never
enough.
had enough fame. He never earned enough money. They were never partying enough. They were never doing drugs enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've
It was a type of woman that it was never enough.
dated a few women like that, James. I definitely have. We got D-Wag says, damn, we supposed to start some backyard bruvs wrestling. We got CK in the chat. He says he'd like to see Irrational Times being invited on the show. Well, we'll reach out to Irrational Times. The Money Plane, love that guy. Nicodemus the Great said Brock decided to retire on his own terms instead of being retired by HHH Golden Boy Gunther at SummerSlam.
He was going to be Gunther at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
but he decided to do over Femi, didn't he?
Over there in Saudi motherfucking Arabia. Yeah, what's that all about? We got a little super chat, a Ko-Fi. Shout out to CK dropping $2.50 each. Thimbles tequila for both James and myself. $5 total. Thanks. We appreciate you right there, CK. Thanks for that, buddy. Who else we got? We got D-Wag says he was a great actor. Zayd says, now Mr. Navy makes sense. Yeah. Or Mr. Nanny, rather. Sorry, I read that wrong. Mr. Nanny makes sense. No, you're right. And now that they're going over to go to Saudi Arabia, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what the hell is this even about? Did they sell off, like, America brand, that America wrestling brand, to other parts of the world? Is this like a bust out, like how they did in The Sopranos, where they busted that guy's outdoors shop, his store out when they ordered the red and the blue, thermoses or whatever. That's what it feels like, doesn't it, James? That they're busting out.
I don't see why they're branching out when wrestling is so quintessentially American.
It's American.
We try it. Yeah. We try it in this country, and we do a really bad job of it. If you watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's very Japanese centric.
Yes.
It's not like the wrestling you see. It's very strong style. It's very masculine. It's very built in honor. WWE is like the king of sports entertainment, and fundamentally at its heart, it's supposed to be apolitical and entertaining. But the people you've got around there talk about everything but wrestling. You know what I mean? They do everything but wrestle. If you watch a show, if you watch Raw, you watch SmackDown, you watch a pay-per-view, it's all advertisements and it's all fucking promo. You barely get any in-ring wrestling or in-ring entertainment. I think the WWE just got rid of a load of wrestlers, and they got rid of two really good wrestlers. They got rid of Aleister Black and they got rid of Kairi Sane. You know, a man and a woman who can actually wrestle. You know what I mean? And it's like they're just looking for these markets and to make money and to branch out. And it's like, you've got to take care of the product. It's like you with your comic book. It's like, you know, you can only get one chance to create a good first impression. It's your first comic book. You're putting your heart and soul into it. You're working really hard, and people are going to see it, and then they're going to judge you on it. You know what I mean? And then you get the repeat business. WWE is such a watered down product from its heyday in the 80s and the 90s. And I know a lot of people blame Triple H, but I don't necessarily blame Triple H because there isn't really. You can't do the Attitude Era again. I would love for them to go back and do the Attitude Era. I would love there to be a new Stone Cold. There'd be a new Rock. There'll be a new Shawn Michaels. There'll be a new Triple H, new Kane, new Undertaker. But they just can't thread the needle anymore. I don't know what the market want. The market seem to want you to talk about politics, you to dress a certain way, you to act a certain way. Basically, they can't separate the character on screen from the person that they are in real life. It's very stupid. You know, you've got a guy like Brock Lesnar who's built to be a wrestler, and you're moaning about what he does, like he hunts or he's fucking, you know, he lives a life that you don't. He comes from Minnesota. Yeah. He's not going to be a raging lefty, is he? That shouldn't hold him back on the fact that he should always be the face of WWE as long as he wrestles.
Well, I think anything that's becoming very, very successful in the entertainment world is going to be inverted on purpose in order to subvert the audience. And I think that's what they're doing with wrestling. Wrestling was very masculine when it first came out, and it was very masculine for a number of years. Now, you know, now we see the women that are the boss bitches, and we see the men that are a little bit effeminate, and they dress up more, they have more makeup on, all this kind of bullshit. Nobody wants that. We got Hobo Chili Recipe. He says, wrestling is huge in the Middle East, especially in Afghanistan. Although local bazaars and vendors would always have some type of Hogan thing, I shit you not. Well, was that because there's a lot of military guys over there, and the vendors knew that they could sell that to the military guys? I'm curious about that. CK says, only money, money, money. I think it will die. No one really wants the stigma of Wahhabi Islam. Yeah, that's true. Wahhabi Islam came up in the 50s and the 60s. The guy who actually came up with it was American educated and went over back to Saudi Arabia to spread it. And it spread through all of Islam. It's a very interesting thing we could talk about sometime. But let's see who else we got. We got Rodney Hartwood. Welcome to Jubamaland. 100% agree with that. Nicodemus the Great says TKO screwing with a lot of it. Rodney Hartwood says the champ now is Bobo Femi. Yeah, but I'm not really sure who Bobo Femi is. You know who Bobo Femi is?
Bobo Femi's the one that done Brock Lesnar, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that's crazy. King Yeti says peak The Rock was when he would pull up in his Lincoln bumping 666 Mafia. Yeah, get back to that shit, bro. Get back to The Undertaker. Put that motherfucker on a Harley Davidson. Not one of these electric Harley Davidsons, but the real ones who sound great. You know what I mean?
Who've been the recent champs, right? Look, Cody Rhodes. The man's got no fucking personality.
Yeah.
He's got no CM Punk. Another guy who's got no fucking personality. They go on, he's a great promo artist. The only reason he seems like he's a great promo because he never was in the era of The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart. He would have looked like a fucking chump in that era. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Punk is a product from Ring of Honor. So is Seth Rollins. He's a product. He's a product of the skinny indies. He's like an Ospreay or a Prince Devitt, who's now Finn Balor, or Dom Mysterio. You've got these guys. You haven't got the Hulks, the behemoths. Like Obafemi looks like that. He looks like that. Fucking so does Brock Lesnar. But you've got a lot of I never thought Roman Reigns should have got the push that he got. But this guy is going to be champion for as long as he decides to continue wrestling. You know what I mean? It's like
they need him.
It's like a choice.
Yeah, they have to have a star. We got Taper says current WWE fans want to cry about women not getting enough screen time, and they want to hound wrestlers for autographs to resale. They just want to see big sports and don't care about storytelling. I think that's true. Taper says CM Punk did one good promo, just one. 100% agree.
Pipe bomb. He's pipe bomb, and he's lived off it for the rest of his life.
For his entire life.
And he tried to do another pipe bomb, didn't he, on Roman Reigns, where he just brought up all his family and dogged his family, and it was it didn't have any effect. It's so stupid because you knew that he would have to put over Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns was coming back full time, so you knew he put him over at Mania, so it made no sense.
Yeah, Nicodemus the Great says Roman is The Rock's cousin. That's the only reason he's up there. But
they're all there, aren't they? You got Tama Tonga, you got Tonga Loa, you got Jacob Fatu, you got the Hohenaihe family that are in there. Fucking everyone's there.
Yeah, it's a family event now. King Yeti says Brock is 49. One of the things that I would like to say is I would love to see. I don't know if you guys saw this, but on Nightwave, when Nightwave talked to Teddy Hart, I would love to find out what the hell is going on with Teddy Hart. Did you know what I'm talking about, James? He rhinestoned it with crystals his entire Maserati. He drove around with 4 cats in his car, and he would call in and Merch would talk to him. That was some of the best Nightwave I still think about that to this day. Do you know what I'm talking about, James? Oh wait, James? Hold on, I think I lost your audio. Wait, you really went out. Did your audio go out, or did my audio go out? Because I don't even hear you on Zoom anymore. I don't know what happened right there. Let me I don't hear you on Zoom at all. Let me try to delete this audio real quick, and we'll get James back. We're coming up on the top of the second hour anyway, people. So, but what I was going to say was that it would be awesome if we could get Teddy Hart back on Nightwave. I don't know what happened to the old the audio. I can't hear you on my audio. I don't know if let me try to see if I can turn this back on. Maybe will this fix it? This is the first time anything like this has happened with audio. James, try to say something one more time. Let's see if your audio. Nope, can't hear you. But we're gonna wrap it up anyway. Miami John, he did kill his girlfriend. The Teddy Hart interview was great. It's pure gold. Presby Bro says the Teddy Hart thing is one of my favorites. Hobo Chili Recipe says Teddy Machete, Teddy Spaghetti, Porceletti says King Yeti. Presby Bro says probably. Taper says last I saw about Teddy Hart was that he was showing up at random indie shows without being invited and running into the matches he wasn't a part of and then getting banned for life. We need to see that. We need to get him to call back into Nightwave. We need to get him back on with Nightwave again. D-Wack says, I was there for the Buried Alive match between Mankind and Undertaker when I was 10. Hobo Chili Recipe says, Merch, did you ever get that hug from Teddy Spaghetti? That's a great question. We got to ask Merch that. See if he ever got his hug from Teddy Spaghetti. We got. I still don't know what happened with the audio on that one, James. It could be something with my virtual camera. I don't know. Maybe it got funky. Can you say something else? See if it comes through. No, I still can't hear you. I think it's on my Zoom side. I don't know what happened with my Zoom. It cut out right there. But anyway, we'll wrap it up, guys. We had a really great conversation. Let's try to get Teddy Hart to call back into Merch. That would be fire. Thanks everybody for sticking around with us. Go follow James Domenico Graben on X. He needs more followers, more subs, bro. The guy's great. He does fantastic content. It's only getting better. He talks about what's going on over there with the damn English. He talks about what's going on with the wrestling. He talks about what's going on with Vito. We've had a very interesting week. It's been fantastic. James has been a fucking stellar. He's a legend. We had a great time yesterday on the lunch table. You guys go watch that. We talked about a lot of fun stuff, a lot of sex stuff. Then we also talked about animation and cartooning, why that's so important. Go check that out if you can. Also follow him on James Domenico Graben 81 on YouTube. Get him some more subs. We got to get him boosted. We're trying to break the lad through over there in England so we can get him to come to Miami. We want to do a little meetup in Florida, get all the RO2C guys, get all the Nightwave guys, get all the fun, get all of the Ray's happy guys over there. We're going to have a great time. That'll be fucking awesome. But go give him a couple of follows. Let's see, we got Hobo Chili Recipe. He said, Merch, did you ever get a hug from Teddy Spaghetti? We got Rodney Harwood said, great stream, guys. I'm glad you have the guts to speak your minds. Yeah, we try, man. We try to speak our minds around here. And, I mean, James, he's in a little bit more hot water than I am over there in England, so we got to be careful on that. We have DJ John says, does Merch have a bot comments whenever he's mentioned? I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But we should work on that. I'd love to get him in chat more often, even get him on a couple of times. He's always welcome. Open invite 100% of the time for Merch. Merch is one of the OGs, bro. OG supporter. We love that guy. So anyway, I hope everybody has a fantastic kick-ass Saturday. I'm going to give you a call back, James, on when I reset my Zoom in about 2 seconds, and we'll have a little chit-chat after this, just to let you know right there. Nux to Zayd, Nux to Miami John, Rodney, Knuckles to you, Hobo Chili Recipe, D-Wag, of course, much love. Taper, much love to you, bro. Presby, bro, of course, Shiso, SoCal. Nice guy, Mersh. Yeah, he's in the chat. He said Nightwave mentioned. Yeah, we were just going off. We were glazing you, bro, about how fantastic that Teddy Hart arc was. We'd love to get an update on what the hell's going on with him, bro. So shout out. I didn't know you were in the chat. Let's give Mersh a big round of applause in the chat. He always gets a big round of applause. Let's fucking go. We just had a great stream about wrestling. Go back and listen to the whole thing of it. James covered all of the Hulk Hogan stuff, that big Netflix documentary. His audio just cut out, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It's at the top of the second hour anyway. We're going a little bit late. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Kick some ass and get the fuck out of here. Let's fucking go. Knuckles to you guys.